Welcome to today's Explainer. We're taking those big, theoretical workplace safety frameworks and turning them into a literal toolkit you can use on the floor. For all you occupational health and safety professionals and instant investigators out there, keeping people safe in high-risk environments means you absolutely need the right diagnostic tools. So we're going to build that toolkit from the ground up, exploring the frameworks that satisfy stringent international standards like ISO 45001.
Okay, let's dive right into this. We're going to systematically build this diagnostic toolkit step by step. We'll quickly run through the anatomy of an accident, finding the danger, bypassing system defenses, comparing foundational models, digging deeper with the 5 whys, and finally, putting together your practical toolkit.
Section 1. The anatomy of an accident. Let's start with the classic problem every single plant manager and safety investigator faces when things go sideways.
There's a core principle from our sources that absolutely sets the stage here. No accident has a single cause. It is always a chain of overlapping vulnerabilities. Think about that for a second. This is the foundational mindset you need as an investigator. An accident is never just one unlucky break or one guy messing up on a random Tuesday. It's the final result of systemic weaknesses that finally lined up.
Moving into Section 2, Heinrich's Pyramid, Finding the Danger. To spot these vulnerabilities before they blow up, we need our first tool. Think of this as your radar. It actually comes from Herbert Heinrich's 1931 insurance studies, and honestly, it's still a total game changer for proactive safety.
At the very top of Heinrich's pyramid is the number 1. This represents that single, severe incident, the one resulting in death or permanent disability. It's the tragic outcome everyone naturally focuses on, the one that makes the headlines and triggers those massive audits. But Heinrich's real genius? He looked deeper. And this brilliantly illustrates what's hiding beneath that peak. For every one of those severe accidents, Heinrich found 29 minor injuries and a whopping 300 near misses, the almost, the dropped wrench that barely missed a hard hat, the equipment that sparked but didn't quite ignite. These 300 incidents, they're basically giant flashing warning signs that danger is present in your system.
Then, drop down to the very base. Thousands. Thousands of dangerous situations and unsafe behaviors. The math here is absolutely crucial. If you focus your attention on the base, you prevent the tip. By tackling those thousands of minor unsafe acts, you literally starve the top of the pyramid. That severe accident? It never even gets a chance to happen.
Let's put some faces to this data with a quick narrative using our safety comics characters. Down at the base, you've got careless Boris creating hazards left and right. Moving up, violator Nikita dials up that risk. But look at lucky Victor right there at the near-miss level. Believe it or not, Victor is your most valuable asset. Since he survived without a scratch, his near-miss gives you a completely free lesson on exactly where your system is failing. Zero tragedy involved.
Section 3, Swiss cheese, bypassing system defenses. So if the pyramid is our radar, this next tool, developed by James Reason back in 1990, is our X-ray. It shifts us from proactive tracking to looking at deep, systemic vulnerabilities.
Reason's idea was that a system has layers of defense, literally like slices of Swiss cheese. You got technical barriers, like alarms, procedural ones, like permits to work, administrative layers, like training, and of course, the human factor. Now, every single slice has holes in it, weaknesses. The danger only slices through when those holes align perfectly across all 4 layers, leading straight to a disaster.
Which brings us to a super important distinction: active failures versus latent conditions. Active failures are the immediate human errors, like an operator hitting the wrong button. They're obvious, and honestly, they usually become the scapegoat. Latent conditions, though, those are the hidden systemic threats, like chronic understaffing or a culture that ignores safety. When an incident happens, your job isn't to find a scapegoat to punish, it's to hunt down those latent conditions. Section 4. Comparing foundational safety models. Let's do a really quick synthesis of the 2 models we just built, because knowing how they work together is what separates good safety pros from great ones.
So the crucial point to remember here is the contrast. The pyramid is proactive. It tells you exactly where to focus your resources, down at the base with those near misses. The Swiss cheese model is retroactive. It answers how the danger slipped past your barriers after an event actually happens. Put simply, the pyramid is where to work, and the cheese is how the danger works.
Section 5. Digging deeper with 5 whys. Look, just finding out a barrier failed isn't enough, right? We need to know exactly why.
To dig into those holes in the Swiss cheese, we're pulling out the final tool in our kit, our scalpel, the 5 whys.
This tool actually has a pretty fascinating backstory. Taiichi Ohno at Toyota came up with it in the 1950s to solve manufacturing defects. It was so elegantly simple that it spread like wildfire across industries. Today, it is baked right into modern, high-risk petrochemical safety standards and heavily recognized by frameworks like ISO 45001.
Let's move to a real-world petrochemical case study and see how this builds. Imagine an operator gets burned during a high-pressure wash. Why? Well, a hose ruptured. Why did it rupture? Because it was degraded. Why was it degraded? It missed its scheduled inspection. Why? The maintenance team was understaffed. Why were they understaffed? Because budget cuts froze hiring. See what we did there? We just peeled back the surface symptom to reveal a massive, systemic root cause.
Section 6, your practical investigation toolkit. We've covered the anatomy, the pyramid, the cheese, and the whys. Now, let's bring the whole shebang together so you can actually use it on the floor.
This quick reference card pretty much synthesizes our entire explainer. Seeing way too many near misses? Boom, deploy Heinrich's pyramid to analyze the base. Did an accident just happen? Pull out the Swiss cheese model to figure out how the holes aligned. And when you find those holes and need the root cause, you hit it with the 5 whys. Using the right tool at the right time ensures you're easily meeting those strict ISO and EU directives.
And please notice the standard for success here. A root cause is a systemic underlying reason whose elimination definitively prevents an incident from repeating. That is the ultimate goal, folks. Firing careless Boris doesn't fix a broken safety culture, and it doesn't hire more maintenance staff. Only eliminating the true root cause protects your team for good.
So I'll leave you with this to chew on. If your system's holes perfectly aligned today, would your near-miss reporting catch the danger before it reached the top of the pyramid? I highly encourage you to take this toolkit, audit your own defenses, and maybe start asking why just a little more often. Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer. Stay safe out there and keep analyzing.